So I didn't have time to do it in my last video, but I do want to go through the programming on this XMAXX 5 G2 with you guys, because there was a few things that I definitely changed and that I would recommend that you change yourself. So you actually plug in by the fan on the ESC. It's a separate port for programming, and then you plug it into your program box. Hobbywing has a couple different ones, but this is kind of the main one that everybody uses. It also works for my helicopters and planes and everything. So we'll turn this on. It's going to come up like that. You actually want to just hit OK. And then it will start processing the ESC. So running mode, obviously you want to leave that default. And when you see a star next to it, that means that that's the default setting. So if you ever need to change something back to default, you can run default on everything, but you can always look at the star and it'll tell you. Lipo cells, we want that set to auto, cut off medium. Here's your motor rotation. And so watch when I change a setting here, 2, and it doesn't have the star anymore. So you can always come back to the one with the star and you'll be at default. BEC voltage, I did bump it up from 6 volts to 7.4 to kind of give a little bit more power to my servo. Brake force is 62.5 is the default, and the brakes feel pretty good. So for now, we're going to leave it at that. Reverse force was only at like 25% or 50%. So I like to be able to self-right and do crazy monster truck stuff. So I do full 100% reverse force. Punch level, I have it on 9 right now, which is the highest setting, because my gearing needs to go up. But once I move my gearing up, we'll lower the punch level back down to 5 is default, 9 is the highest. So the lower that you go on punch setting, the weaker that it is. So drag brake, obviously we don't want that. This isn't a crawler, even though it can now crawl. Initial throttle. So default, this was at 1%. I screwed with it and put it all the way up to 9%. And what it means is when it gets signal, it will immediately have 9% throttle. Well, I don't really want that. That's kind of the point of a censored ESC, is to have it be smooth and calm. So default was 1%. I actually wound up playing with it, and I put it down to its lowest, which is 0.5. Timing, we're not going to mess with that. Delay, we're not going to mess with that. And then here's where you can actually restore your defaults. And that will restore every single setting's default. Or, like I said, you can go to each one and just set it back to the star. So that's it, guys. That's all that you need to know to program your Hobbywing ESC. If you need to calibrate it, that would be a separate video for calibrating your throttle and your reverse. But this is the actual programming from the program box. As always, guys,